Hello and welcome to What's Next. It's the Indy NXT Oval Series live from Phoenix International Raceway, the legacy, historic, proper, whatever you like to call it, Phoenix, as it comes in the Road to Indy circles. We're here for round number 10 of the inaugural season of Indy NXT Oval here on iRacing, here on P1. The top split here at 3,500 I rating. Here tonight, we are currently working through practice here, and we'll have the field working their way towards qualifying here shortly. We'll get timing and scoring up on the screen so we can follow along with who's setting the fastest times of the race. And we've got quite the special appearance here tonight. Mr. Christopher Demerit of I5G fame is in the field tonight as our number one car. 6,900 I rating on that belt for Mr. Demerit. We'll see his qualifying run here. So we'll hop on board with that I5G machine. He's heading out on his out lap right now. Getting through turns 3 and 4. A bit of a lift there for him. Likely going to be second lap is faster here around the 1 mile Phoenix International Raceway. Of course, we've got many of an Indy NXT Oval Series regular in here, the likes of Wylazinski, Kirkenbauer, Bolgren, Crash Neon, Chris Wetz, alongside guys like Ty Keela and Ryan Campbell, the Rogue Racing Squad. It's going to be quite the race here. The same location that just wrapped up a solid race out in the INDYCAR Oval Series. Demerit sets his first lap, 23.6, even. Currently, Matt Glenn provisioning on the pole with a 23.371. We'll see what Demerit has here on lap number 2. 22.982. We'll see if that's enough to put him at the top of the pylon come the end of qualifying. See if we can find ourselves another driver on the outboard. Right outside with Gary Yost. Actually get a bit closer to him. There we go. There's Gary. The All-American iRacers machine. Watch outboard with him as he wheels the number 19 car around the track here tonight. Currently sits 16th on the board. We'll see if lap number 2 is a bit better for Yost. (23.211) second time around. That will be a slight improvement for Gary. Right outboard with him through the rest of qualifying here. As we navigate the 1 mile Phoenix International Raceway. Looks like the times up at the top of the table are very close. The entire top 10 separated by just 0.16 of a tenth. Or, well, 0.16 of a second. Still a couple minutes left here in qualifying. We'll get the driver inputs off so we can see a bit more of the timing sheet. Number of drivers, big, heavy swingers like Indy Kirkenbauer yet to take a time. We'll see what Indy's got in his Votive Racing League machine. The gray and white number 7. Normally a very strong qualifier in these Indy NXT races so far this season. That's why we've seen so much of him at the front. Lays down a 23.456 for his opening lap. We'll see if he can improve on lap number 2 here. It does seem second lap is much quicker. He'll wrap up that and put him second on the board. Very, very close to that time of Christopher Demerit. We will get to a starting grid now, as I believe we are in the process of gridding. We're very close to it. Might still be in the qualifying session now that I say that. 22 cars rather in the field here tonight. Going to be a strong field from top to bottom. Certainly no slouches anywhere you look throughout the opening season here in Indy NXT competition. Likes of Taylor Thurman returns, John Corwin, Alan Kammer. Wylazinski, I believe, is your current points leader. I'll update on the point situation before we close through qualifying here. I believe Wylazinski will stay the points leader, as he does. He's on 1432. Indy Kirkwood is the closest behind him on 1407. Chris Wett sits on 1373. Bolgren on 1314, and then Crash Neon rounds out your top 5 on 1,184 points. So it's still anyone's game near the top of the sheet. If, say, Indy Kirkwood could capitalize, this is a very strong SOF here for this series. If he can capitalize on his starting spot here tonight in this 55-lap event, it'll be a good points night, likely be able to give him just a little bit closer to that edge that he needs to try to win the inaugural Indy NXT Oval Series Championship. We are gridding up now. Let's get to our starting lineup. So it will be the i5G machine of Christopher Demeritte with the Demeritte Engines logo on there with a 982, putting him on the pole. Alongside him will be Votive Racing's Indy Kirkwood with a 22.986, just 4 thousandths of a second separating our front row here tonight. Dustin Bolgren, regular here on the Indy NXT top split. He'll line up third in the number 10 machine alongside Chris Wetz in the 4th spot. Matt Glenn and his Ghost Energy machine will line up in 5th alongside Chris Fletcher in the 6th spot. Taylor Thurman in the number 18 machine will line up 7th alongside Jay Godley in 8th. Jason Goodman will line up 9th alongside Rogue Racing's Brian Campbell. And we will move to 11th through 20th. Crash Neon will start 11th, the winner at Iowa earlier this season. He'll be looking to mount the charge from outside the top 10. Ryan Brown will line up 12th in his number 12 machine ahead of John Corwin in 13th. Tyler D. Villamere will be 14th. Alan Kammer will be 15th alongside Gary Yost in the All-American iRacers machine. Dylan Wylazinski will be 17th. Miles Morris will be making another appearance out here in Indy NXT Oval Series competition. He'll line up 18th in the 17 car. Ty Keela, that iconic Lucky Charms car, will line up 19th for Rogue Racing in the number 2. Rob Gibson will be 20th in the number 20 car. And then we've got 2 cars not taking time tonight. Luke Mansky Racing's Logan Edwards will line up 21st. And Tyler Lounsbury will be 22nd in the number 16. Back to the front of the field here. 1 pace lap here at Phoenix. It's going to go by relatively quickly, so we will get an outboard shot of the field from the infield here. These drivers will navigate around turns 1 and 2 of the historic layout here of Phoenix. Grass in the infield, very much a undesired line, unlike the new iteration of it where there is pavement all the way wall to wall. Fortunately, they do still have an iRacing version that does not allow drivers to drive on that apron, but it very much changes the racing dynamic having the start-finish line in between what becomes turns 4 and turn 1, depending on how you look at it. Chris Demeritte will lead the field off turn number 4 once the pace car pulls down. Pace car is off. Field in control of Demeritte. He's going to go now.
Green flag.
Solid launch for Dustin Bolgren in the 3rd spot. He'll look to the inside of Kirkwood heading into turns 1 and 2. We'll watch back that as he's just barely not able to get alongside there. Relatively clean through the rest of the field. We'll get a better look at the field here. A bit further out here. Got Bolgren, Wetz, Matt Glanz looking to the inside of Chris Fletcher for the 5th spot. Not quite going to be enough. He's going to have to fight side by side through 1 and 2 here. Thank you. Demeritte's fallen 2 second. Kirkwood's managed to take the lead from him. Fastest lap of the race, 23.167. Field has started to string out just a little bit past about the 6th spot, as that's going to be Matt Glenn, about a second back of our leaders here. They'll head down into turns 1 and 2 once more, heading on to lap number 3, or 4 rather. Dustin Bolgren sets the fastest time of a 22.959. Get tighter back on this battle near the front of the field now. Head down the front straightaway, off into turns 1 and 2. Battle for the lead will be Kirkenbauer, Demerit, and Bolgren. We've got Chris Wetz just back leading this next train of cars, 4th through about, let's call it 8th, because you see Campbell off in the distance just behind this. Get 2 gaps so we can get an idea of just how close some of these cars are together. See Jay Godley working on Matt Glenn on the inside there. Hop back to that battle between Godley and Glenn. Casey Povolonis chiming in chat. Indy repping the Friends of Cole livery. That does seem to be the case. Nice gray machine for Indy at the front of this field. We are looking at the battle for the 6th spot between Glenn and Godley. Not quite too much going on there. It looks like Indy Kirkenbauer has started to pull away ever so slightly from Dustin Bolgren at the front of this field. You see as that continues to increase. Field has stayed relatively tame. See if we can walk ourselves through the top 10 here. So we'll hop back to the battle at the front. That'll be Kirkenbauer leading Bolgren, Demerit. They're arguably split from the rest of the field as it's about a half second between Demerit and Wetz behind. Field slowly starting to string out. It'll be Chris Fletcher in the 5th spot. Matt Glenn runs 6th. Jay Godley in 7th. Brian Campbell has made it up to 8th. Justin Goodman runs 9th, and Taylor Thurman will round out the top 10. Neon, Brown, Keela, Wylazinski, Corwin, Villamere, Yost, Chimere, Edwards, Gibson, your top 20. We'll actually hop back to Brian Campbell working on Jay Godley for the 7th spot. He'll look high in turns 1 and 2 here. Head down the back straightaway. Looking to build some momentum just a little bit further up on the racetrack, turns 3 and 4 there. Down the front straightaway once more. We'll work on to lap number 11. Brian looking nice and low in 1 and 2, looking a bit higher in 3 and 4, trying to keep the momentum as much as we can as we see Matt Glenn enter the picture, and it's now 2 wide just ahead of Campbell here. See if we can hop on board with the driver of the number 3 here. He's working the high side of Jay Godley now. Manages to get alongside just enough where Godley has to yield the space to him. We'll watch as they navigate the front stretch once more. Move Campbell up to the 6th spot. He'll clear Godley.
Caution,
yellow flag is out. Matt Glenn down the order. See what happened to him. Get a bit closer on that machine before we get to the replay. So he's heading off into turns 1 and 2, just behind Campbell, who we were on board with. You're going to see the 15th of Jason Goodman. Looks like he got pinched between 2 cars of Goodman and Godley, and that's going to put him into the outside wall, missing that rear wing. It's going to be night over for Matt Glenn. Unfortunate early caution here. Not even a quarter of the way through this race. Around a quarter, rather. I think we're just past the quarter mark, but that's going to put him in the pit lane. Likely night done for him. So 14 laps down of 55 here tonight. Indy Kirkenbauer your leader over Dustin Bolgren in the second spot. Pole sitter Christopher Demerit rides in the third spot. Chris Wetz and Chris Fletcher, top 5. Brian Campbell's made it up to the 6th spot. We'll see if he can mount a charge in this next stint. Maybe work his way towards the podium here tonight. See if anybody's opted to come down the pit lane and take some tires here. Not quite sure if that's been done just yet. There is a bit of shuffling going on a bit further down the order, so I'm suspecting some cars have opted to come down the pit lane. Keep you posted on that as we find that out. Looks like we've got a couple takers. That'll be Jason Goodman in the 18th spot, alongside Gary Yost, Logan Edwards, and Miles Morris. Matt Clan is still in the pit lane with damage. So they'll be the first guys on new tires, I believe. All 5 of those cars, or sorry, 4 of those cars will have taken tires this time. They'll have 15-lap fresher tires than the rest of the cars ahead of them. We'll see if any of these drivers are able to make a charge, kind of change their fate with those fresh tires. May play a factor if we get a long green flag run. That is something we've seen play a factor a couple times here in the Indy NXT Oval Series, is that being able to take tires under one of these yellows, as unrealistic as it may be, is advantageous if the race stays green long enough and the tires fall away. Track position is a huge factor, especially on these shorter tracks, but fresh tires may be able to overcome some of that deficit over a number of drivers in the field. Pace car lights are out. We'll be going green this time. Put the field back in control, or well, into the control of Indy Kirkwood this time. Watch from the opposite end of the track for this restart as we get ready to go here. Green flag is out. Kirkwood's launching. Bolgren, solid start. Christopher Demerit's going to be looking to try to make a move early. Field stays relatively even strong the rest of the way through. The big gap looks to be Crash Neon in 8th. Then the front 7 are all separated by around a second and change. I'll put a bit tighter of a camera here, get closer to the action. Kirkwood, your leader, will hop back to Brian Campbell as he seems to be in the thick of it once more. Chris Wetz, Chris Fletcher, and Demerit. 3 Chris's all ahead of Brian Campbell here. Can he make a charge past the trifecta of Chris's to make his way to the podium? Move him to 5th. He'll be looking to work on Chris Fletcher now. Kirkwood has about a half-second lead already. We'll see if that dwindles or increases over the course of the run here. Ryan running nice and low in 1 and 2, getting a solid exit down the back straightaway here at Phoenix. Heads off into turns 3 and 4. He's going to look to run a little higher. He garnered a little bit more momentum down the front straightaway here. Kirkwood's not been really able to run away too far just yet. Still around a half-second back to Dustin Bolgren in the 2nd spot. Field has remained relatively tame beyond this. We've got Ty Keela hunting down Dylan Wylazinski, your current points leader. Wylazinski in that good racing machine. Ty Keela in the Lucky Charms car right behind him. Ty's going to look low here, garner a bit of momentum. See if he can get alongside Wylazinski heading into 3 and 4 here. It's 2 by 2 now. Crash Neon and Ryan Brown off ahead of these guys are also side by side for the 8th spot. Move Ty Keela to 10th. He's still just barely ahead of Wylazinski. He's going to have the momentum off the corner here. He's going to make the clear. Wylazinski's going to look low now. Tykila's going to have the high side here. We'll see if that's preferred. Weilazinski's going to cut low, get on the inside of Crash Neon. They'll be running side by side down the front stretch now. Tykila's in the middle of this. Crash Neon going to get passed by Kila there. Ty's going to work the inside into turns 3 and 4 now. Might have been a bit of contact on entry there, but Ty's going to get the advantage heading through 3 and 4 here. He'll make the clear. It's going to be the lap machine of Alan Chimere on the bottom there. Not sure what happened to him. We've got 2 cars serving meatball flags in Ty Lounsbury and Matt Glenn in the pits in 21st and 22nd. Rest of the top 20 is out on track. Chimere, the first car, 1 lap down. So this battle has kind of settled out between Weilazinski and Kila. See if we can move back a bit further up the field, go back to Brian Campbell and his number 3 machine. If he can hunt down Chris Fletcher, seems that gap is building back up. So we'll see if we can hop back to something a bit closer on the track. Let's check out Miles Morris in the number 17 machine. He's working on Jason Goodman in the 15. Nice, solid battle here deep in the field. It's going to be the lap machine, or that's going to be, yeah, I believe that's the lap machine of Alan Chimere getting out of their way. That it would be. Morris going to look to the inside. Bit of contact there between Goodman and Morris. All looks okay from the 2 IL-15 machines out on the track. We have reached just past halfway now. We'll see if any of these drivers are able to make something happen in the final half of this race. Yellow's out. Thurman's through. I believe that's going to be Ty Kila involved. Ooh. We've got a number of cars around here. Morris is going to be involved. Yost may have gotten away scot-free here. We're going to have to check. I believe this is going to start with Ty Kila. He's missing both the wings on that machine. So they're heading through turns 3 and 4, I believe, heading onto the front straightaway. Bit of contact between Weilazinski and Kila. Kila spins around, rear end into the wall. Crash Neon is going to get into that, send his car up into the air. We'll follow Neon down the straightaway here. Yost is going to make it on through. I believe that's Yost on the inside there. Not quite. So Yost is going to check up here. We've got the 17 machine of Miles Morris involved. That'll be the 15 of Jason Goodman, I believe, as well. May have gotten some of that. But a big crash down the front straightaway. Yeah, that's the 20 machine of Rob Gibson going for a flight down the front straightaway. That'll likely be night done for him as well. We'll see, as it looks like Gibson, Neon, and Kila are all serving meatball flags now. We'll see who else opts to come down the pit lane with them to serve those. Chimere is slowing onto the pit lane. So we'll see. We'll re-rack the field once the cars get off of pit road. But Indy Kirkwood, after starting from the outside of the front row, has put up a commanding fight here in Indy NXT competition on the ovals. Would be a really good showing for him if he can pull out the win. Good points haul heading into the final 2 weeks of the season at Kansas and Homestead, respectively. Got a couple other races on the P1 channel this week if you'd like to check those out. Good reason to subscribe, ring the bell, share P1 with all your friends. We got plenty more iRacing open wheel action here this week and every week following. Tomorrow night, Mark Murphy will be on the call for the season finale of the Horizon IndyCar Series. I believe this is actually the season finale this time. It'll be Indianapolis for them, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Formula Indy Series, Gary Gotso will be on the call for one of their oval rounds, their 8th round overall in the season at Gateway. That'll be 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time. Thursday night, we'll have the second split of the Indy NXT Thrustmaster Pro Qualifying Series at Laguna Seca. That'll be the second to last round of that series. That'll be 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Then we'll head into week number 11 of the iRacing official season, in which both IndyCar Open and Indy Next will take on Barber Motorsports Park. That'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern and 9 p.m. Eastern, respectively. Myself and Mark Murphy on the call for Open, and myself on the call for Indy Next Road. And then we'll be back next Tuesday for a doubleheader for both series. Again, back-to-back nights of doubleheaders between both series. IndyCar Oval will take on Kansas at 7:15 p.m., followed by Indy Next Oval at Kansas at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're about ready to go green here. 24 laps to go. Coming to 23.
Green, green, green.
Solid jump for Demerit. We'll see if Demerit can get the pass done on Bolgren heading off into turns 1 and 2. They'll be side by side. Not quite. Almost. But Chris Fletcher's going to be there to capitalize on this. They'll be side by side for the 3rd spot now. Demerit's going to be stuck on the outside lane here. We'll see if he can garner some momentum here. Demerit's going to hold on to 3rd as it stands. Brian Campbell's going to look on Chris Fletcher for the 4th spot. He'll hop to the outside now. Take a look. Not able to quite get alongside that number 9 machine. Campbell now looking low, heading off into turns 1 and 2, looking for a way past Fletcher here. He'll look high this time. Try to build the momentum down the back straightaway, heading towards turns 3 and 4. Just behind this, you've got Jay Godley ahead of Ryan Brown and Dylan Wylazinski. Wylazinski started cutting his way forward now, if he can so help it. Kirkenbauer out to about a 6/10 of a second lead over Dustin Bolgren in the 2nd spot. I mean, Wylazinski sent it at 3 wide temporarily into turns 3 and 4. He's on the inside of Jay Godley for the 7th spot. Ryan Brown's there to try to capitalize on something on that outside lane. We'll see if Wylazinski can continue to work this low side. Nice and tight off the exit of turn 2 there. They'll go 3 wide a little bit down the back straightaway here. Godley will hold on to the spot for 6th. Brown's going to roll that high side. Might have a bit of momentum heading down the front straightaway here. They're going to be side by side for the 6th spot. Brown has the advantage at the line. He's going to run high here. Wylazinski's going to kind of shoot the middle between these 2 cars ahead of him. Run the high side down the back straightaway. Wylazinski staying high here with Brown. Godley working the inside. Talk about a charge. Logan Edwards, he's up to 9th after starting, I believe, 21st on the evening. We'll see if the Luke Mansky driver can continue his charges. He'll look to the inside of Jay Godley heading off into turns 3 and 4. Not quite enough there. We've got Wylazinski working Brown here, and then Logan Edwards will be working on Jay Godley for the 8th spot. See if he can make up some ground. Wylazinski will look low here. Not quite enough. Bit of contact potentially between Edwards and Godley. They'll be side by side heading into turns 3 and 4. Big stack up of cars behind them with Villamere, Goodman, and Corwin. Logan Edwards will make the pass for 8th. Godley's going to look to the inside down the front straightaway. 15 to go here at Phoenix. Lead for Indy Kirkenbauer out to 1.2 seconds. Likely a big moment between Bolgren and Demerit. We'll move to that battle now. 1/10, give or take, separating these 2 cars. We'll see if Demerit can make the pass for 2nd. Try to run through the field here. A lot of jockeying for position around that 6th through 10th area, maybe down to 11th or 12th even. So we'll hop back to those battles as Wylazinski's still working on Ryan Brown for the 6th spot. Oh, Brown's into the wall. Is anybody else going to hit that? No. Caution is out. We'll try to ride a bit closer to the scene here of Ryan Brown. Heading through turns 3 and 4 on the high side of Wylazinski. Wylazinski's going to come big close. Net code contact looks like. There's a big bubble between those two machines there. Brown into the wall. Fortunately, it doesn't look like anybody else got involved with this one. And we'll run you through the field here as we experience, I believe, our third caution of the night. Tough break for Ryan Brown. He was putting up a solid race here at Phoenix. So it'll be Kirkenbauer, your leader, after taking the lead from Christopher Demerit in the opening stages. He's held on to that the rest of the way. Dustin Bullgren will run in second. Christopher Demerit, your pole sitter, runs third. Chris Fletcher will be fourth, with Brian Campbell up to fifth. Dylan Wilezinski will be sixth. Logan Edwards is seventh. He's charged basically from the back of the field up 14 spots. Jay Godley will run eighth. Tyler D. Villamere will be in ninth. We'll jump back to his car now. Chris Wetz will be 10th. Jason Goodman in 11th. John Corwin in 12th. Gary Yost in 13th. Taylor Thurman will run 14th. Miles Morris will be 15th, the last car on the lead lap. Alan Chimera will be one lap down. Ryan Brown, serving his meatball flag for the most recent yellow, will be 17th. Crash Neon has been disqualified, likely due to hitting the incident limit, would be my suspicion. Possibly. It's a black flag DQ, not a meatball, so I'm suspecting that's the case. Or he went around too many laps to serve a meatball flag, but he's no longer on the track. Gibson, Tykela, Lounsbury, and Matt Glenn round out the field, all out with damage. Lights are still on the pace car. We will see the field re-racked and restacked here as we work to likely a 9-lap to go restart, as we're going to get one more time this time by, I believe. Make it a dash to the finish. If you've enjoyed the coverage so far here tonight, don't forget we've got a GoFundMe link in the description of the stream. You can feel free to give us some money if you so desire and have the means to do so. Times are tough, but we do these on behalf of the community, so we'd love to show the love back and forth both ways there, or a super chat here on YouTube. So it'll be 9 laps to go at the stripe here. Lights off on the pace car. Andy Kirkenbauer will be back in control of the field once the pace car makes that turn down the pit lane. Kirkenbauer going nice and high here off turn number 4. He's going to launch now. Christopher Demerit's going to get another good launch. We'll see if he can make an opportunity of it this time. That'll be trying to make a pass on Dustin Bullgren for second. See if there's enough time for him to mount that charge. We'll watch a bit further back in the field as battles start to transpire here. You've got Ryan Campbell all over the back of Chris Fletcher. Wilezinski will be in that picture before too long if they manage to get alongside of each other and fight for it. We'll hop back to Chris Fletcher now. You just see Brian Campbell working that high side, trying to gain all the momentum he can, but Wilezinski's going to be here this time. Fletcher running in the 4th spot. Hop back to Brian Campbell. We got Wilezinski and Logan Edwards. Edwards in 7th. We'll see if he can make a charge into the top 5 here late. Kirkenbauer sets the fastest lap of the race with a 22.762. Clean air at the front of the field is going to do you some good, especially in the late stages. Light tank, nice heated tires. Campbell running in 5th here. We'll hop just a bit further back in the field now. Chris Wetz leads a train of a number of cars of himself, Godley, Villamere, Goodman, Corwin. Got cars 2x2. That's going to be Godley on the outside getting passed by Villamere and Goodman on the inside. Goodman alongside. They may have made contact mid-corner there, but they keep it off the wall. No damage. side by side for 10th and 11th. Edwards is being battled with Logan, or Edwards is trying to make the pass on Wylazinski here for 6th. Move back to this battle now as it's starting to get built up here. I believe that's Demerit looking to the inside of Bolgren. That got awfully close together. That's going to allow Fletcher to get into this picture here. Stack the field back up behind the front 2 here. Or I guess the bottom steps of the podium here. We'll see if Fletcher can get on through at any point in time here, but very close battles top to bottom in this field. This is one of the highlight tracks for the Road to Indy historically in all its various machines. No different here in Indy Next. Demerit still runs in 3rd. This is the closest I believe he's gotten to Bolgren for the 2nd spot. He's going to look high here. That's going to allow Fletcher to look low on Demerit. White flag's in the air. Kirkebauer still leads. We're watching the battle for the bottom steps of the podium here. Demerit's going to make slight contact with the wall. Fletcher's going to look to the outside heading into turns 3 and 4. Fletcher still high there. Demerit's going to have to stay down low. Drag race to the line. Fletcher's going to pull it out. No, he's not. Is he? Yes. 4 thousandths of a second, the margin between Fletcher and Demerit for that bottom step here at Phoenix. What a finish. Look at those gaps all the way through the rest of the field. Very, very close between all the cars battling throughout the field. We got ourselves quite the race. But as much as things are different, the much they remain the same. Indy Kirkebauer picks up another win here on the broadcast in Indy Next Oval Series competition. That may put him in the points lead heading into the final 2 weeks of the season. We'll run through the rest of your finishing results. So it will be Indy Kirkebauer, the winner here tonight, 1.6 seconds over Dustin Bolgren. Chris Fletcher will finish 3rd, just barely edging out Christopher Demerit coming to the line. Demerit will finish 4th. Brian Campbell will be 5th in his Rogue Racing machine ahead of Dylan Wylazinski, still in the championship hut, heading down into the final 2 weeks. It'll come down to a duel between him and Indy Kirkebauer. Logan Edwards and his Luke Mansky racing machine will be the LGN driver of the night after coming from 21st on the grid to 7th. Chris Wetz will finish 8th. Tyler D. Villamere will be 9th. Jason Goodman in 10th. John Corwin will finish 11th. Taylor Thurman in 12th. Gary Yost in 13th. Jay Godley 14th. Miles Morris in 15th. The last car on the lead lap. Alan Chimera will finish 1 lap down in 16th. Ryan Brown 17th. Crash Neon 18th. Rob Gibson 19th. Ty Keela 20th. And Ty Lounsbury and Matt Glenn 21st and 22nd. Number of these cars further down the order from Brown on back, likely suffering some sort of crash here in tonight's event. We'll get whoever is here for podium interviews on up in here. I believe we've got Dustin Bolgren and Indy Kirkebauer. We'll show Chris Fletcher's car on screen for a moment. He'll finish on the podium here tonight. And then we will get Dustin Bolgren on up here. Dustin, Jacob Collins, Speedway Broadcasting. You got me?
Sure do, buddy.
Well, it's another podium finish here for you tonight in Indy Next competition. Bit of a different race here, generally speaking, as we've kind of been in a slew of 1.5 tracks in the recent weeks, but the 1 mile here at Phoenix seemed to deliver a solid race here tonight. Kind of talk us through how you made it to the podium here tonight.
Well, it wasn't easy, I can tell you that. Just trying to keep that right front under it and keep it out of the fence. And Indy's just blazing fast, but just trying to keep some clean air on the nose. And then there about lap 40 before, I think that second to last caution, I actually ended up getting some wheel damage. So then it was a fight for the life to stay up there.
Yeah, this is a track that we've historically seen be very, very aggressive on tires, and one that you have to be able to kind of back the corners up, treat them right, and keep your wheels on it. And especially in a car like this where pitting's not necessarily the optimal thing to do, especially in these shorter races. You got to keep the tires underneath of them. Do you feel like if there was good ways to adjust your car throughout this race? Obviously, we've got the in-car roll bars here. Did you feel like those were able to kind of help those ailing tires later into this race?
Yeah, I think it was pivotal. So, I mean, this is my 4th race of the week. I got 3 wins earlier, but yeah, getting to that ARB early for me was pivotal. So I was actually going to it really early to keep enough turn in the car. But I mean, just the pace in this race that we were running too was really, I mean, we were all pushing, and Indy was definitely setting the pace there.
Well, nonetheless, quality finish for you here tonight. The pace was very high, especially near the front of the field. We saw that especially into the later stages. But podium finish here for you tonight. If you got anybody you want to shout out, Dustin, floor is yours.
Yeah, I definitely want to shout out my teammate, finished right behind me there. He's actually looking to get an invite to be able to get in here and interview. So if we can try to help him with that, I know he'd like to kind of speak. But yeah, just shout out to the team. Doing well here, and just picked up a couple podiums and got a couple more yet to go this season.
We will try to get Chris on up here shortly, but thank you, Dustin, for coming on out for the race here tonight. Quality finish for you. Hope to see you the rest of the season here in Indy Next Oval.
Yeah, 10-4, bud. Thank you.
Thank you. We will try to get an invite to Chris Fletcher. See if we can get him in here. But we'll move to Indy Kirkwood, and we'll work our way backwards. Indy, Jacob Collins, P1 Broadcasting. You got me?
I gotcha.
Well, you put it up on the front row, very, very close in qualifying, 4,000 separating yourself from Chris DeMeritt, but you were able to make a pass here early for the lead, and once you got it, you never looked back. Kind of talk us through working through this race, another win for you here tonight.
Yeah, it's a pretty good win. I think if he wouldn't have hit the wall on lap 6 or 7, I would have probably not won that race because the clean air means so much. And that was a pretty chill run. I was just leading. I got a little bit of gap. It was probably the longest run of the race. And then right when that caution came out, I think I was 1.6 or 7 seconds ahead. And, it was then right when he got up to my bumper, I was getting worried. Just because I know Dustin's been fast before. And I was able to hold off the win from him. I'm happy. This is my 6th or 7th podium in the series, I think. So it's happy that I've been able to do pretty good in this car and be able to fight for a championship. Is very important for the championship after getting wrecked last week.
Yeah, a common appearance to see you on these podiums, putting in consistent results week in and week out. That'll definitely help towards that bid for the championship. Kind of talk us through managing being in the front of the field here. Obviously, a bit of a different story being in the clean air. You kind of have free reign over where you put your car relative to the rest of the field. How do you pace yourself once you get out to the front there and just make sure that you're keeping the car in the best shape that it can be come the closing stages?
I just try to hold my line. It was getting a little bit loose. And you got to go so fast through turn 1 and 2 because if you don't, then they're going to get the draft on you coming down the straightaway and have a chance. So if you make a mistake there, like if you go under 60 or 70% throttle, you are just gonna be toast down that backstretch. If you're in clean air, of course. But I know dirty air is a little bit different from my race I did earlier today, but yeah, it's been a really fun series, and just third win of the year is great, and coming off the first right turn podium last night, I honestly didn't think Phoenix was going to be one of my better tracks, and I had a good qualifying run and, very good race.
Well, it was certainly a week of surprises, but pleasant ones nonetheless. Another win for you here in the Indy NXT Oval Series, backing up your podium last night in the Road Series. If you've got anybody you want to shout at in Indy, I'm sure you've got this down pat by this point. Floor is yours.
Yes, I do. It's Fremont Functional Fitness, BG Emery and Associates, Allie and Clyde, and Make Something on YouTube.
Well, Indy, we'll hope to see you next week as we head to Kansas for the penultimate round of the Oval Series, and hopefully you can have a solid run there next week and try to eke your way to the championship.
Yep, thanks. It's going to be a Congo line next week, but, got to qualify pole.
Got to put yourself at the front to succeed. That you do. Have a good one, Indy.
Yep, you too.
All right, we'll see if we can get Chris on in. Not sure if we're going to be able to hunt down Chris here or not. But if we can, we will. But overall, a great race here at Phoenix tonight. About what we would have expected here in the Indy NXT Oval Series. No different than its counterparts lower and upper on the ladder here of the Road to Indy. All right. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get Chris on up here this week, but we'll hopefully get him back up on the podium here before too long. one way or another. But we want to thank everybody for tuning in to Indy Next Oval. Bring up the results one final time. Will be Indy Kirkwood, your winner. Dustin Bolgren, Chris Fletcher, rest of the top 10 on your screen. Quick run through the rest of the field. We will close out here from Phoenix. We're off to the Kansas Speedway and Indy Next Oval Series competition next week. Hope to see you all there for that one. And to all those that do the difficult jobs around the world that let us do all the fun things that we do, we thank you very, very much. Thanks for joining, everybody. Have a good night.